We all have a story, and at times we feel we're walking it out alone. Let's pause and think. Join us for honest conversations about adoption and parenting as we lament, encourage, give hope, and explore our true identity and worth in Christ.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Pause and Think. This is Aixa. We're here in Guatemala City in the Darby's beautiful dining room that's welcomed so many people. And today we're thrilled to have the Salazar family represented here with José and Sherry. They've been dear friends to me for, my goodness, about 11 years, I think. We met at the local support group that we started, and we were basket cases. We were we were, and still are in many ways. But we're just gathered here to talk about you guys and the story the Lord is weaving still. But I guess the easiest part is going to be talking from the top. So we're just casually chatting with a group of friends in Bogota. And recently, and Jose mentioned that you guys met in an orphanage setting, as many of us start our journey with all this vulnerable families serving. And you guys met there. And so maybe you can tell us a bit about that. And then how was your newlywed life? Even from the start, you guys did something different.
So yeah, we met at an orphanage, and he actually carried in my bags that first night. I wouldn't have guessed that we'd be here this many years later, but it really was nice for us both to have the opportunity to see what God was already calling us to. We didn't know to what extent or which kids or how, but that he had already put a call on our life to care for the vulnerable. And that was obvious. I was a little bit in shock to see a guy as well, like caring about babies and kids.
Aww.
And so that's where we met.
So Sherry and I were there at the same time for about 2 years. Then I left to serve in the mountains here in Guatemala. And after that, we started dating. So we were really good friends for two. We started dating after that. And then I asked Sherry if she would marry me, and she said yes. And the rest is in the past, and it's been all good. But yeah, our experience at the orphanage is like, what does orphan care means? We didn't really know much besides kids belong in orphanages.
Sure, that's what we knew.
That's all we knew back then. I mean, everything was happening through children's home and everything like that. And just our experience there was like, there's something missing. We didn't know what it was. We were young. And but we were in contact with so many kids, and someone that we got really close to, and that we really love. And even after I left, we stayed connected with them. So fast forward 4 years, we got married, newlyweds, and there was a kid that I really love. I still love. And he was one of my best men at my wedding. So I had him brought from the orphanage to my wedding, and he wasn't there because he's very special to me. So of course that carry on into sharing our relationship now as married people. And but the kid aged out. He turned 18. He didn't really have anywhere to go. So Sherry and I talked about it, prayed about it, and was like, yeah. We should open our home to him. So we were just newly married, and but we knew that we could do it. We really didn't know what we were getting into, but we knew that God was going to sustain us, and it was a great experience for both of us to be able to love on him, and for him to be able to just grow with us as we were growing, in our marriage, and just like it was like. Someone that we love and care and still do. Now he's married, he has kids, and we're still in contact. It's been very special.
Wow. So how did you come to that conclusion, Sherry? Like most, newly wives are adjusting to that life, but what made you say, no, we need to bring him in?
because he was a person and I knew him. And that was part of the experience of living at the orphanage that we even talked about. We could have older kids too, not just babies. Like we could receive any age because we saw how less likely they were to receive a home. And this was a different case. He had aged out, but it's like everybody needs a family. And so he was a person that we knew.
Of course, it's not just a statistic or a number, but a person that has a history that you have come to love. And so would you say this is how mission shapes family, or a marriage and then a family? Like you guys from the get-go defined your family life around this mission. How do you explain it?
How would you explain, Shay?
Well, yeah, I think that I look back and I see how it's been one way, and we just continue to learn and grow as far as how we raise our kids and live in a missional way. But it's definitely impacted our family. Yeah, definitely, because everything that we do, we're trying to do with that in mind. What is the Great Commission, and how can I love my neighbor? And if this is what's in front of me, how can I do that well? And so that's something we're always talking about with the kids as well.
Yeah, and just trying to create opportunities everywhere. I mean, the opportunities are everywhere. It's just having the eyes, to be able to walk alongside with Jesus and see what he's bringing to our lives. It's not to interrupt our lives and our plans, but he also brings people for us to pay attention and to respond like he would respond. I read the book of Mark, and it's just the amount of interruptions that Jesus had on the book. It would have made you think that they were slowing him down to get to the cross.
It looks like interruptions to us.
Exactly.
Right?
But he was never late anywhere. He always showed up on time. Even when we think that he was late, like Martha and like, oh, my brother died. Like, you're late. I'm like, I'm not late.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because many people would say that 18-year-old is like, you're too late. Like he's old for a family, but you never outgrow your need for a family. And so your babies, your biological babies have been born into this. And I guess one of the most frequent questions has been, for me at least, how are your kids? Like, how are your bio kids? How do you handle their heartbreak? How do you, so we're going to talk about that later, but like, can you walk us through how has that been, the experience of having this mission, very driven life, and bringing babies into the whole mixture? That has to be a challenge.
And it is a challenge. And, we had to start from the very, very bottom, starting with devotionals, videos, things like that just, for the different ages of our kids, like, how do we present this to them and for them to be able to see Jesus in the midst of this? So we started having conversations, devotionals, prayers, welcoming people in our home for like a Friday night movie, things like that, and just talking and using the resources that already exist and bringing into our home and creating a space where we can have those kind of conversations, not even just through Sherry and I, although we do a lot, but welcoming others into helping us shape this mission mind, because that's, I think we're consumed by how great we can be, and we want to live radical lives that are the opposite. How do we live for the glory of God? And that means living for others as well. And so we've been having conversations with our kids through all the time. I mean, they're going to go through suffering. They're going to have, I mean, my oldest, somebody's going to break her heart, and that list goes on. We're going to face trouble.
And we're going to mess up in our house
Oh, yeah.
too, like we do over and over. And so having the conversations with them and that are gospel centered and trying to demonstrate that to them.
And
as well.
I mean, you guys, even if before the resources or the conversations, you guys are doing it. I mean, you last count I heard from you was 11 kids. You've welcomed 11 little strangers into your home, and your kids have seen this. This is not something you're talking about, but something you're doing. And so how has been that, a foster journey for you guys, and how are you now?
It's definitely God's plan because I always imagine having a big family. And so 3 biological kids at home right now seems small. But then we think about, well, God has brought a lot of people, a lot of kids through the doors, even for a season. And so, yeah, that's definitely something that when I was back at the orphanage, when I met Jose, I think I even verbally said, I know I thought it, like I could never foster. That's not, I will adopt, we will adopt someday. I could never foster.
Yeah.
And so, definitely didn't imagine where God would bring us.
Yeah. What do you think shifted? I could never do that too. Yeah. We're doing this again 11 times.
He sustained us through a really hard season. And so then it was like, he can do that. I didn't know what that felt like to that extent. And like, okay, he can bring us through a really hard season. So yeah, we can do hard things. They're good things. We all go through hard things that are not good, but it's like a really good thing that we can do. And we know he will sustain us. We know.
Yeah, I read a book by John Piper, and he said risk is right. And just little things like that God has placed on our lives, or just for me as a as a husband and as a dad, and the calling that God has given me to shepherd my family and guide them in His ways. I couldn't neglect this part of His plan for me to carry on into my family. So what would that look like as a man, to be able to not only to provide for my kids, but the God invites us and calls us to be able to provide for those that don't have what my kids have, and how we can be a family for those that don't have one, for whatever reason, maybe temporary, maybe long placement, or whatever it is. But it's like, how can I guide my family in a way that is honoring to the Lord? And always talking about vulnerable population, that kind of gets removed out of the equation. It's like, and as a man, and as the pressure that we have paying school, utilities and all these things, and it's like, how am I going to take somebody else? And we talk about it and making sacrifices to be able to make space for those who need. We say no to things so we can say yes to them. It doesn't come just like an emotional feeling of like, yeah, I just welcome kids and see how it goes, but actually took a little bit of planning and seeing how we can use our resources, but the things that God has given us to carry on His mission. So as we think about the Great Commission, how do we carry our discipleship not only to our family, to our household, but we carry out to others as well? And that means caring for the vulnerable for us, and that way we're teaching our kids, we're growing together, and we're allowing other people to see inside and see how you could live your Christian life.
That is so good. Like, that's so good that you guys have a partnership in the most important area. And surrendering and to God's plan doesn't mean not planning, and that's wonderful to hear, because oftentimes I hear a lot of emotional talk around these topics, but when you really bring it down to practicality and say, okay, if we're going to do this, then we don't have time or resources to do this other thing, and that's how we're going to do it, and you actually put it into action. And so that is really important. And I have to say, I have the blessing of being part of the same church that you guys belong to, the church body, and we've shared a small group for some time. And I loved last year that you guys were so open, like
Mhm.
literally opening your house for anybody to come during the holidays. That is awesome
Mm.
because I have to say this for people watching from the US, maybe outside of Guatemala. Latin America is, we're very family oriented and we're very
Mhm.
communal, but when it comes to traditions, we can be sometimes territorial, and
Mhm.
it's like it's our family tradition and he's not into the family. So, the Lord just brings and rips up our
Mm.
idea of family
Yeah.
and then brings
Mhm.
another idea, and it's wider and it's bigger.
Mm.
And you guys just do it in a very beautiful way. And so you said, anybody that's alone for Christmas or New Year's, come to our house. And I'm like, we have plans, but I have chocolate. And I brought
Some good chocolate. Some
I
good
brought some
chocolate.
chocolate.
Now we're hooked. We're finding that this year.
We have extra motivation to do it next year.
Because I'm like, they're opening up their house. I can bring snacks so you guys can have,
Mm.
that generous table of yours just
Mhm.
overflow. So that's a beautiful thing to watch and to acknowledge. And I want to see more men, Sherry, to holding babies and being that kind of strong, because
Mhm.
it's something we need more of.
Mhm.
So a beautiful thing that I saw in Bogota recently, that regional gathering that Lifeline invites
Uh-huh.
us to, one of the most wonderful things is seeing more dads there,
Mhm.
more
Yeah.
men there,
Yeah.
more pastors. That's encouraging.
Mhm. Yes, it is.
Yes,
Mhm.
because
Yes, it
it tends to be the women start, although
Mhm.
I see a very equal
Mhm.
thing between you guys, but it tends to be so. What would you say for people that need encouragement? Maybe they want to do this, and I don't know how your extended family reacted to all these
Mhm.
very unusual ways of
Mhm.
doing life.
Mhm.
But where has your encouragement come from, and how do you encourage others?
Mhm. It's been believers, the church, people over the years. There's always been somebody that the
Mhm.
Lord has allowed. Sometimes it took us asking for help and
Sure.
sharing and being vulnerable,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the journey was, let's do this, we can do this, and that pride. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's taken here and there for us to see, no, we need help. This is,
Mm.
and for us to be able to share our needs with other people,
Mhm.
it's a way to allow them to come in and
Mhm.
help the
Mhm.
vulnerable as well. And so,
Mhm.
like you said, us in like community last year and sharing and stuff, that was like a newer years for us to like be that vulnerable to share
Yeah.
needs and
Yeah.
everything.
But
But
God has
always
always
had people.
always
Mhm.
provided for His mission. I mean,
Mhm.
He always has, and sometimes, like Sherry said, we have to seek out. And sometimes God just drop them on your lap, and it's like great people that are
Mhm.
gonna be there, and they're from everywhere. I mean,
Mhm.
Mhm.
we have people from different countries encouraging us. We have people here encouraging us and
Mhm.
sustaining us, and everybody pitching something,
Mhm.
and yeah. So to be able to be vulnerable and for people to see that we also um, are in need
Mhm.
of grace, and sometimes I just don't even know how to pray. And it's
Mhm.
not that I don't know the gospel, but I just sometimes it's just hard, you
Mhm.
know. Every word
Mhm.
it's hard to say. So
Mhm.
I just ask people, can you pray for me? Remind me of the gospel and
Mhm.
things like that, because yeah, we're people following Jesus. We ain't perfect, but we
Mhm.
desire
Mhm.
to honor Him, and in
Yeah.
that we see our own need for help. So to be able to share not the beautiful things that God does
Mhm.
through this kind of ministry, but also the hardship that goes with it,
Mhm. Mhm.
and trying to navigate those things on this side of heaven.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that He left us
Yeah.
a body where they're loving
Mhm.
to us and caring for
Yeah.
us in different ways,
And
many
we
ways.
don't worry about like to encourage someone who's thinking, oh, but I don't have everything I need.
Exactly.
Even like like that's such an easy way for the church to come alongside it in the physical. Like, I don't have everything I need to do this. We never know what age of a baby, or if it's a boy or a girl, and if we saved everything, then our house would be like overflowing. So if we can give things away when we don't need it anymore, and we can also know that someone else might be able to share when we do need something again. And so, not to let the physical needs either be the reason to not do something.
Exactly. I just don't, as much, as I go along and walk and trust the Lord and learn more, I really don't see how anybody can do this apart from God and His grace and His body. I really don't know how you do this apart from the richness and beauty of God. And we want to hear your story. So if you are wanting to share either your foster journey, your adoption journey, or you're an adoptee, or you age out of the system, we want to listen to your stories, and you can do that if you go to Pause and Think podcast or whosami.org. There's a spot there to contact us to share your story, and we love to feature stories that are so encouraging and mostly highlight what God does.
Yes.
It's amazing what God does when you just look at each other, even in community, and no one has an answer. It's just heartbreak or just an impossible stuff. The government does stuff and it's unjust, and it's so infuriating sometimes. And we get angry together, and we pray together, and we cry together, and then we celebrate together when we see God doing stuff that we can't do.
Yes.
And that's the most exciting part. So thank you for being with us, and stick around, because we're going to have a second part to chat with the Salazars. And it's been an honor to have you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Pause and Think. For more resources and information, go to whosami.org.